number 2. A.J. Brown, number 3 for Tennessee. DK Metcalf, number 4 for Seattle. And T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end for Detroit.
First 5 I had were Josh Jacobs. I agree with you on that one. N'Keal Harry, I do like a lot for New England. I think he could be one of the starting wide receivers there, which could surprise some people. He is very athletic, very talented. I like him at number 2. I agree with you on David Montgomery. I like him at 3. Miles Sanders I have at 4. I do like him a lot as well. And then I had A.J. Brown at 5.
All right. So you're a little bit higher on Sanders than I am. But, I'll tell you this. I have N'Keal Harry 6, but he was in the middle of the year last year before the combine was looked at to be the first receiver to go. He was a beast for Arizona State. So I'm not doubting him. I definitely have him at number 6, but the problem, it's the Patriots. They have guys like Edelman. They're going to throw the ball too. And then who knows, maybe Gronk comes back. I like N'Keal Harry though. He's definitely a top 6, top 7 guy. And then number 7, I have Darrell Henderson for the Rams. I think he's going to get carries no matter what, especially if Todd Gurley's knee doesn't hold up. He might be the best one there too. So I have him at 7. Dwayne Haskins, I moved up a lot to number 8. I think he's going to beat out Case Keenum over in Washington, even before the season, possibly to be that starter, if not during the season. I have Paris Campbell for the Colts, number 9. Who the hell doesn't want Andrew Luck throwing to them? And I have Kyler Murray for the Arizona Cardinals at number 10.
All right, my 6 through 10 were DK Metcalf. I do like him a lot. I think he could be the lead guy there in Seattle. They're pretty close to it with Lockett there. I think those are going to be the 2 starting receivers there. T.J. Hawkinson, I do like him in Detroit as well. I think he could be one of the starting tight end there. Darrell Henderson, you already talked about him. I like him a lot for the Rams. Paris Campbell, I think he's going to be a complete stud this year with Luck throwing to him. And then he won't be getting double-teamed either, so with Hilton on the other side. And then Kyler Murray, I'm very high in Kyler Murray as well. I got him at 10.
Fantastic. Number 11, I have Miles Sanders, as we discussed before. Number 12, Deebo Samuel, wide receiver for San Francisco. Then I have another wide receiver for Baltimore at 13 at Marquise Brown. And I have Noah Fant for Denver at number 14. And I have Mecole Hardman, the receiver, at 15. And I'm a little concerned about Hardman, but go ahead, Dave. Who do you got?
Okay. At 11, I had Deebo Samuel, kind of along the same lines as you. I think he could be a good fit in San Francisco. Noah Fant for Denver. I like him there. He could be their starting tight end for them. Marquise Brown, he's a guy I really liked coming into this year. They don't really have many other receivers there, so I do like him. Mecole Hardman, I had at 14. I am kind of iffy on him as well with Hill back, but I'm still not sure with Hill. He's just one thing away from getting suspended. So I think he should have been suspended already, but that's a whole other topic to discuss. And then 15, I have Damian Harris, who I really like from New England as well.
Yeah, Damian Harris, I have him moved down a little bit because of Sonny Michel and his success. But, we'll see. I'll get to him. I have Hakeem Butler for Arizona next at 15 or at 16. I have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside for the Eagles at 17. Andy Isabella for the Cardinals at 18. Devin Singletary, running back for the Buffalo Bills at 19, which I forgot to mention, they might cut Shady McCoy because of that $6.4 million cap hit. They might do that. We couldn't even really mention the Bills because it's another mess. But if Shady gets cut, you have Frank Gore there and TJ Yeldon, much cheaper than McCoy. We'll see what happens there. But Devin Singletary I have right there. And 16, 17, 18, 19. And Justice Hill I have at 20.
Okay. Well, actually, I had Justice Hill and Devin Singletary both moved up, actually, on my boards. I had Justice Hill at 16, and then I had Singletary at 17. And then I do like Butler as well for the Cardinals. Then I had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and then Andy Isabella. And that rounded out my top 20 then.
I like it, Dave, and I think you might be right there. I probably should have upgraded. I think I should have upgraded Hill a little bit more. So definitely seeing what you're saying there, my man. All right, then We did that. We did that. You know what? For the sake of time, Dave, since I'm going to cover the little defense, I'm just going to kind of go over a couple more sleepers. Daniel Jones, I have higher. Most places have him around the 35 to 45 range. I have him in the top 27 or so. I think Terry McLaurin for Washington could be a little sleeper. I have him up a little bit from other things, from other areas. And that's about all I have right there. Do you have any other sleepers in the rookie offensive draft?
I do like Dwayne Haskins as well, like you said. I do have him moved up my board a little bit too. I should have had him even maybe a little bit higher. And then I did like Drew Lock actually and Bryce Love. Those other two guys I had that were a little bit lower that I'd like to move up to as well. Drew Lock could be the starter there by midseason, and Bryce Love I think will find a role in the Washington offense before the end of the year.
Yeah, there's so many running backs to Washington, but I did move up Drew Lock a little bit as well because I just don't think Flacco's going to last. I think he's done, I think he's going to be done soon too. I can see Lock starting at least by next year, and at least you have a starting quarterback for a while. So I moved him up as well a little bit, my man. Well, for the sake of time, we have a few minutes left. I'm going to go over some defensive guys. And Dave, do you agree defense probably shouldn't be drafted in any dynasty leagues until at least the fourth round, right?
I definitely agree, yes.
Yeah, Darius Leonard was ranked like 27th in most fantasy dynasty leagues. So that was kind of, not the rule. That was more the exception. I think the next guy was ranked like 48th. So just know that when you're doing your rookie dynasty draft, this is the first time you did it. But let's start real quick with linebackers. I have Devin Bush and Devin White are the first two that should come off the board. Then the rest are kind of a little bit of a mix. Edge rusher, I've obviously Nick Bosa at number 1. He's going to be playing immediately. Clelin Ferrell at 2, and I have Josh Allen at 3. Some people have Brian Burns at 3, but I have Brian Burns at 4. So I like Josh Allen with Jacksonville, especially with that defensive mind there. Defensive tackle, Ed Oliver I have at number 1. Christian Wilkins at number 2, and 3 I have Quinnen Williams. There's also Jeremy Tillery and Dexter Lawrence, but Dexter Lawrence, he could be a head case, but a lot of people think he's got a high ceiling. For cornerback, I have DeAndre Baker from the Giants, and I have Byron Murphy for Arizona, and Rock Ya-Sin for Indianapolis. And that's probably all you need to talk about cornerback. They're probably the least valued position when it comes to this. And then for safety, I have Green Bay's Darnell Savage at number 1. I moved him ahead of Abram. A lot of people have Jonathan Abram, and I have Darnell Savage at number 1. What do you think, Dave?
I like Savage a lot. So, definitely, anytime you're drafting defensive players, you definitely want to go linebackers first, and then safeties. Those are going to score you the most points. Defensive ends, defensive linemen, cornerbacks, like Kia was saying, they're not going to get you many points. Linebackers is where you're going to make the money makers for you, and they're going to get you the most points for fantasy football.
Great call, Dave. Linebackers, safety, edge rusher, defensive line, and then cornerbacks, I believe. So that's the order where you're going to get the most value for drafting your IDP players. Well, Dave, we went past our time, my man, but that was a ton of fun. If you out there have any questions for us about your fantasy draft, Dave has been in about 8 leagues a year. He started playing fantasy in the early 90s. Dave, please tweet him at dnastyfantasy if you have any questions for him, or tweet us at the Odds Breakers. Dave, so glad fantasy's back. Thanks again for coming on. We'll talk to you soon for our draft.
Thanks for having me, Kiev. It was fun. Look forward to doing it again.
All right, it's time to welcome back the best UFC handicapper that I know. The man's been in the ring before just to understand the sport and get a greater understanding of what these fighters go through. He watches every single fighter many times before their up-and-coming fights. I want to welcome back my man, Cub Fan Danny. You can tweet him at Cub Fan Danny to cover some UFC 240 featuring Holloway versus Edgar. How the hell you doing, Danny?
Hey, my man. Very, very good. recovering from all my injuries, but doing really, really good.
Oh man, you love it. You love it, and we're not spring chickens anymore. And you still got the balls to jump in the ring with some of these animals in there, just to understand the sport more. And I commend you for what you do. But I absolutely love your analysis. I love the UFC. I don't know anybody that watches more fights or understands these fighters more. So I'm really happy to have you on. Big pay-per-view, UFC 240 coming up. Max Holloway versus Edgar. And I'm sure you're going to have some thoughts about this one, aren't you?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun card, especially that main event. People tuning in, everybody wants to hear the big names, but there's a lot of good up-and-coming fighters here in this card, right? So when you look at it, you're going to say, who's this guy? But that really sometimes will make the best cards because you're going to have a lot of knockouts. You're going to have guys that are submitting people, and you're going to have especially the young guys going at it to win, right? Mm-hmm. And that always, to me, is what it's all about, right? You want to see guys fight. You don't want to see guys dance. You don't want to see guys running around the ring for 12 rounds, right? And who won the round, who the Mayweather fights, right? Nobody wants to see that. People want to see knockouts.
Mm-hmm. People want to see knockouts.
This is going to be a card where people are going to get hurt, right? And at the end of the day, these guys are going to be all bloodied up and they're going to look at each other and give each other a hug and say, thank you. That was a lot of fun, right? So that's what type of card this is going to be.
Okay? Oh, it sounds awesome. Sounds great, man. I can't wait to watch it. But, I'm sure you studied up a little bit on some of these fighters, hopefully looking for some value, my man. Where do you want to start at?
Okay, so let's start at the main event, right? Let's get right to it right away. We're looking at Frankie Edgar and Max Holloway. This is a fight that was, 2 years in the making, and all these things happened, and Frankie lost his title shot and all this, but it's been 2 years in the making, right? And look, I love Frankie Edgar. You can listen to any coach, any professional fighter, any professional analyst, and they're going to say, I love Frankie Edgar, right? He's a small guy for the division, but he's got the biggest heart. He's a gamer, and he puts it all out there every single time. He's been in all his fights. He's only been one fight. He ended before round 5, right? Meaning he was knocked out one time. Never submitted and knocked out one time, and that was last year against Ortega. He's just a gamer, and he's fought the best of the best over the year. But, listen, he's 37, right? He still has that great cardio. His footwork is amazing. He moves in and out and jabs and moves, and he's a very difficult guy to get a read on when you're fighting him, okay? Because he just moves so smooth. He's one of the best fighters ever, right? Mm-hmm. But here's my concern. It's 37, right? And his cardio's still there, but he's still 37, right? Nobody beats Father Time. Nobody. He's undefeated, right? So this is Frankie's last shot, okay? And when you're looking at the odds, they're there because of Frankie's age and how Holloway is. And Holloway is such a great fighter. He's probably the best stand-up fighter in UFC, right?
Yeah.
He did lose his last fight, but he went up to 155 pounds. He's not a big 155er. He's a small 155er. At 145, he's a big 145. That makes a huge difference. The quality in the power, the quality in the fighters is different. So when Holloway gets down to 145, if he can make weight, he's had some issues before, but when he's there at 145, nobody could beat him. Right? He's beaten everybody. He's been in this game a long time. He's been fighting in the UFC since he's been 20 years old, right? He was the youngest fighter on their whole roster. And he just got better and better and better and better. So when you see the fight odds, you're saying, it's minus 350 for Max Holloway and Frankie Edwards, a plus 290. I can't in good faith put straight bet on Max Holloway. At minus 350, it's not there. The value's not there, okay? So when I look at this fight, when I hear coaches, when I hear respected people in the industry say the same thing that I feel, this fight is going to go the distance. Everybody believes this fight's going to go to distance. That's good value because you can get it right now if the fight goes at distance and you take Holloway, it's going to be plus 265. That's great, right? And it's going to be a good value there for you. If you don't care who wins and you think this fight's going to go to distance, and if Frankie just so happened to win this fight, you can still get plus 140 on that. So either one, if the fight goes to distance, you're going to get plus 140, right?